Welcome to in honor of the Supreme Allied Commander of World War II, the 16th Chief of Staff of the Army, and the 34th President of the United States. I'd like to thank today's sponsors. This morning was sponsored by Leonardo DRS, and this afternoon's sponsor is L3 Harris. Thank both of you for your sponsorship for today. As you no doubt have noticed, the theme for AUSA this year is "The Time is Now." You see that throughout the site as you navigate through various events, and you see it atop AUSA's marquee statement, where you also see that this is a professional development forum. That's what we do at AUSA. We educate those we serve, inform our members, Congress, and the American public, and we connect America's total army to industry, like-minded organizations, and communities across our nation. There's no other event like it in the world, especially this year, and no other place to learn from and enjoy more than 250 speakers from the Army, the broader defense community, Homeland Security, academia, and industry. And no other place, especially now, to visit more than 500 businesses who have provided their information in our virtual exhibit hall. A special shout out today to our Platinum and Gold sponsors who help make this event possible. We cannot do events like this without you. Thank you. To all of the booth staffs in the exhibit hall, thank you for your participation and for sharing critical information about the capabilities you provide for our nation. For many years now, it's been our custom at the Eisenhower Forum to honor the senior leadership of the Army. This year, we have included all of the Army's senior leaders in our photo gallery in the virtual exhibit hall. But let me highlight just a few. The Secretary of the Army, the Honorable Ryan McCarthy, who spoke to us at the opening ceremony yesterday, and who continues his participation in numerous forums and visits today and tomorrow. The 40th Chief of Staff of the Army, General Jim Mcconnell. We'll hear more from our chief shortly. The 16th Sergeant Major of the Army, who's been tireless in sharing his messages about professional development and his priority on people. This is my squad. In each of the top leadership positions he held, Supreme Allied Commander, Chief of Staff, then Commander-in-Chief, General Eisenhower had to think strategically about the national security challenges facing our nation, not just in the present, but also into the future. So it is with the Army Chief of Staff. There are some interesting parallels between the 16th and 40th Chiefs of Staff. Both are graduates of West Point. Both were athletes there. Neither came from career military families. General Eisenhower became chief at the end of World War II with the mission to rapidly restructure the Army from global war to a very different environment. General McConnell became chief as the Army's large-scale overseas combat engagements were ending, and as the Army restructures and modernizes for a very different strategic environment. General Eisenhower followed the legendary General of the Army, George Marshall, as Chief of Staff. Big shoes to fill indeed. General McConnell followed General Mark Milley as Chief of Staff. Well, maybe the similarities end there. But General Milley, we love you. Here's what I do. There's no one on the face of God's green earth who I would rather have leading America's Army right now. Please welcome the 40th Chief of Staff of the Army, our Chief, General Jim Mcconnell.
Good afternoon. Every day is a great day to be in the United States Army because we serve with the world's greatest soldiers. I'm excited to share with you how the Army is changing to meet our future challenges. And these changes cannot happen through incremental improvements. We must transform the Army, and the time is now. The time is now to transform how we take care of our people and how we compete for and manage their talents. The time is now to transform our doctrine, our organizations, our training, and our equipment. And the time is now to transform how we compete around the world in order to protect the freedoms and the global order we enjoy today. We must transform quickly so we have the continued overmatch against those who wish us harm and those who threaten our national security. When it comes to the Army, it's about people first, and winning matters. The Army is people, and that's why it's always people first. People are our greatest strength and our most important weapon system. And when I talk about people, I mean all of our soldiers, from National Guard, reserves, and active duty, our civilians, our families, and our soldiers for life. People first is a philosophy. And I believe when we take care of our people and treat each other with dignity and respect, we'll have a much stronger and more committed Army. It is our people who will deliver on our readiness and modernization priorities. In our Army, winning matters is an attitude. And when the nation calls on the Army, we don't go to participate, we don't go to try hard, we go to win. There is no second place or honorable mention in combat. In order to win, we must transform the Army now. As the Secretary mentioned yesterday, we are updating our Army priorities. People first is not only a philosophy, it's also now our number one priority. And when we take care of our people, we get them in the right jobs at the right time, that is how we win. Readiness remains critical to the Army's ability to compete, fight, and win. We must be ready, ready tonight and ready in the future. No soldier or unit will ever be sent into combat that is not highly trained, disciplined, fit, and ready. We are currently at our highest state of readiness because of the hard work of our people and the timely, adequate, predictable, and sustained funding from Congress. And modernization is future readiness. While we're investing in counterterrorism and counterinsurgency operations over the last 19 years, our competitors have been aggressively investing in modernizing their forces with new technology and new weapon systems. In order to maintain overmatch, we must modernize now. And it's not about fighting the last fight better. It's about winning the next fight. In order to do that, we must transform. Over the last year, our Army has faced significant challenges around the world and at home. We have operated in an environment of great power competition with China and Russia, dealt with conflicts in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, and all the while battling the COVID pandemic and responding to wildfires, hurricanes, and civil unrest at home. And in early January, our soldiers demonstrated their high state of readiness with a no-notice deployment of the 1st Brigade from the 82nd Airborne Division to Iraq, protecting our forces and embassy. And today, we continue our mission overseas with about 180,000 soldiers in over 140 countries in defense of our nation. I am incredibly proud of our Army. The performance of our National Guard, our reserves, and our active duty forces this year has been phenomenal. I am humbled to serve with you all. And I'm also excited about our transformation ahead. We are doing a lot to move to a 21st century talent management system. We are in a war for talent. We need the best and brightest men and women to come into the United States Army who represent the diversity of the nation. We published the Army People Strategy last year, which focuses on how we will take care of our people and manage their unique talents. Early this year, we conducted our first Battalion Commander Assessment Program and just received the results of our first Colonel's Commander Assessment Program. We're looking at a First Sergeant's Assessment Program inside of divisions, and we're piloting the Command Sergeant Major Program. All these assessments are critical for us to select the right leaders for the most consequential positions in our Army. We're also implemented changes to our assignments and promotion processes. We're no longer treating the population as interchangeable parts with only grade and MOS as qualifying factors. We have enabled selection based on knowledge, skills, behaviors, and even preferences. And this year we launched Project Inclusion, our effort to ensure that all our people feel like they are valued members of the team. As the nation faced the pain of systemic social injustice, we too confronted our own issues. We looked inside our organization and we listened to the stories from our diverse professionals that brought to light that we too can improve to be a more inclusive Army. Project Conclusion focuses on the policies, procedures, and resources that will enable us to grow into a more diverse and inclusive team. We're looking at ways to improve how we recruit, retain, develop, and employ the diverse talents of our people. This ensures the Army is an organization that is truly inclusive, where everyone has a path to success. This is how the Army will compete for talent. Putting people first ensures we have cohesive teams that are highly trained, disciplined, and fit who will win against any adversary. And putting people first will also lead to modernization and transformation of the United States Army. I would suggest that about every 40 years, the Army transforms to meet the national security threats of that time. We did it in the 1940s for World War II. We did it in the 1980s for the Cold War. And we're doing it now in 2020 for the great power competition environment that we live in. When I came in the Army in the 1980s, earlier in battle was our warfighting doctrine. We established our combat training centers. We developed the Big Five weapon systems, and we learned to lead an all-volunteer force. And over the last 40 years, we have incrementally improved these systems to maintain the overmatch we need to protect our national security. Now we find ourselves in a period of great power competition. And great power competition does not have to mean great power conflict. The way to ensure this does not happen is by having a strong Army. Peace through strength is the right approach, as President Ronald Reagan so eloquently said at my West Point graduation in 1981. We have a unique opportunity right now to set the Army on a course to ensure that we can compete and deter great power competitors for years to come. We're moving away from the industrial age to the information age processes and moving at the speed of relevance and not the speed of perfection. Our competitors have aggressively invested in new technologies and are challenging our overmatch. The pace of changing technologies is accelerating, and our nation's competitors are more determined than ever to exert their will and influence. And that's why the time is now for transformational change to build the Army that we need for the future. Transformation is not just about a new equipment. It starts with the way we're going to fight. We recognize that in the future we'll be contested in all 5 domains: on land, in the air, at sea, in space, and in cyber. And in order to compete and dominate in all domains, we are implementing the multi-domain operations concept. This concept defines how we will fight in the future, where we know we will be contested in every domain. It includes 3 tenets: calibrated force posture, new organizations, and convergence. Calibrated force posture is how we optimize the employment of our forces through forward positioning, rotational forces, and dynamic force employment. Key to this tenet is set the theater to ensure we have the access, basing, and infrastructure to rapidly deploy forces when required. New organizations, like multi-domain task forces, provide long-range precision effects and long-range precision fires to the combatant commanders. They allow us to operate below the level of armed conflict in the competition phase. They enable deterrence, and if required, can penetrate anti-axis air denial capabilities in time of conflict. Convergence is the act of coming together, whether it's people, organizations, technology, concepts, or all above. Project Convergence is the name the Army has given to our campaign of learning, a structured series of demonstrations and experiments to converge within and across 5 core components. First, we are converging people. Through the Army People Strategy, we are putting the right people in the right place at the right time. We are putting the right people and specialties together in our multi-domain task forces. 3 years ago, we brought operators together with acquisition professionals in our 8 cross-functional teams. Today, we're bringing those teams together to test interoperability at the earliest stages of development. which brings me to our second core component. We are converging weapon systems, ensuring that our six modernization priorities and signature modernization efforts are integrated and adaptable to future upgrades. Third, we are converging command and control. We are taking our existing C2 systems, the integrated tactical network, the command post computing environment, and the integrated air and missile defense battle command system, and ensuring they can plug into a joint architecture. Fourth, we are converging information. The Army is learning to harness artificial intelligence, machine learning, low Earth orbit satellites, and the cloud to link all of our thousands of sensors, the best shooters, in the right C2 nodes. Fifth, we are converging terrain. And this ties back to the need for calibrated force posture and putting the right people with the right systems in the right places throughout the world. Finally, we are converging these five components with each other. That is Project Convergence. And that is how the Army will contribute to the combined joint all-domain command and control system. We will be able to see, understand, decide, and act first, and we will win. As I mentioned earlier, transformation also includes establishing new organizations and reorganizing capabilities. In addition to new organizations like multi-domain task forces, we have formed 6 security force assistance brigades, 5 in the active component, and 1 in the National Guard. The SFABs are established to train, advise, assist our military partners around the world, and are aligned to combat commands. These organizations allow us to compete and strengthen relationships and interoperability with allies and partners. We're also developing organizations to operate in the information space to enable us to counter the weaponization of information by our competitors. We're continuing to transform how we train the future force. We are building synthetic training environments like One World Terrain and cyber ranges to train our force to defeat emerging threats in these environments. We're developing virtual reality, augmented reality training through systems like the Integrated Visual Augmentation System, or what we call IVAS. These environments enable training to meet the multi-domain operations concept and train across all 5 domains using innovative technologies. Our 6 modernization priorities haven't changed, and we are aggressively committed to developing and building these systems. The time is now to continue our momentum. Part of this transformation is how we develop the systems themselves. Take IVAS as an example. In less than 2 years, we were able to take a great idea from concept to prototype. We combined the efforts of our traditional night vision goggle partners with non-traditional partners, like computer experts and gamers, to design a transformational platform for our warfighters. What started off as a system to improve our night vision turned into a totally new capability. It will change how soldiers plan, rehearse, and execute operations. In planning, it will provide technology like room mapping, where soldiers will map the terrain around them and then use those graphics to build tactical plans. In rehearsal, IVAS technologies will provide a virtual reality training environment that replicates the operational environment. Soldiers will conduct rehearsals where through IVAS they will see, move, and operate as if they were on the objective. And in execution, the soldiers will continue to wear IVAS. Now operating in familiar terrain, they can be augmented with tools like real-time video feeds from drones. IVAS will also link to the scope of the soldier's weapon and allow them to shoot around corners or over obstacles while staying behind cover. And what's really exciting is who knows what else our soldiers can do with this platform in the future. We're also applying transformational approaches across the other 6 modernization priorities. For example, for long-range precision fires, we've had very successful tests the hypersonic and precision strike missiles. These will give us the ability to penetrate anti-access and aerial denial systems. They provide us the capability to strike dynamic targets to include sinking ships. We recently conducted the down select for the Future Attack Reconnaissance Aircraft and the Future Long-Range Assault Aircraft. Future Vertical Lift gives us the ability to conduct long-range aviation operations, increase our loiter time, and extend our battle space range and depth. We're also just conducted a successful test with the Integrated Air and Missile Defense Battle Command System. We are not going to do this alone. Our allies and partners are critical in achieving combined, joint, all-domain operations and maintaining strength across many regions of the world. Our vision is to engage with our allies and partners and train closely with them to build on our capabilities and interoperability. So to all our allies and partners watching today, you are incredibly important to us. Our vision of the future includes close, productive ties with all of you. We want to continue growing stronger together. Let me close by saying these are challenging times. But the great thing about challenging times is there's opportunity to transform. The time is now to transform how we take care of our people. The time is now to transform our doctrine, our organizations, our training, and our equipment. The time is now to transform how we compete around the world. Thank you all for what you do to protect this great nation of ours. It's about people first, winning matters, and we remain Army strong.
Thanks very much, Chief. We at AUSA, the Army's Professional Association, stand ready to support you, the Secretary of the Army, and your team. You lead the Army during a unique period, many ongoing missions. Your laser focus on people, modernization, and readiness. We believe you, Chief. Winning matters. Hey, somebody asked me, why are you wearing a pink tie? And I'm wearing a pink tie because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I wear this to remember two dear friends, Colonel Retired Chris Struck and Dr. Laura Kwasniak, the spouse of our civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army from Cleveland. You're in my hearts and all who are affected by breast cancer. So remember that, everybody. You know, traditionally at this event, the Army Chief of Staff and the Sergeant Major of the Army have used this venue to make presentations of Army awards to outstanding soldiers. This year, the Army is announcing those winners through a variety of online forums. AUSA is proud to join our voices to recognize these tremendous soldiers. Here to do that is our very own Vice President for Non-Commissioned Officer and Soldier Programs, the 15th Sergeant Major of the Army, Dan Daly.
Thank you, General Ham. It's my pleasure to amplify the Army's announcements of winners of these prestigious awards. The Stephen Ailes Ralph Haynes Jr. Award is presented annually by the Department of the Army to the Army's outstanding drill sergeants. This year, outstanding drill sergeants representing all the training centers across the entire U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command competed in an intense competition for this coveted award to be recognized as the best. 2020 United States Army Drill Sergeant of the Year is Staff Sergeant Eric Rostamo. The General Max Thurman Recruiting Excellence Award is given each year to the Army Recruiters of the Year. During General Thurman's tenure as commander of the U.S. Army Recruiting Command, he significantly improved the quality of Army enlistees, helped create the professional Army of today, and he played a key role in fostering the public positive perceptions of Army, America's Army, and its great soldiers. His influence left a mark on Army recruiting and set high standards for today's Army recruit. The non-commissioned officers selected as the top Army recruits for 2020 are from the regular Army, Staff Sergeant Hunter Kaiser. From the United States Army Reserve, Staff Sergeant Garrett Thurman. The Excellence in Retention Award is given each year to the Career Counselors of the Year. Retaining the very best soldiers is critical to the Army's mission of growing and developing leaders for the future. Career counselors support Army commanders by identifying and counseling soldiers and non-commissioned officers of their value to the force and potential to serve in positions of increased responsibility in today and tomorrow's complex world. The Army Career Counselor of the Year is Staff Sergeant Alyssa Licata. The Reserve Component Career Counselor of the Year is Master Sergeant Joey Thomas. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating all of our outstanding non-commissioned officers.
Well, thanks, SMA Daly. What a great tribute to today's Army. Yesterday, the Army announced some wonderful and long-awaited news. 245 years of anticipation, as a matter of fact, about the opening of the National Museum of the United States Army. AUSA is a proud supporter of the Army's National Museum, and we're honored to share this next presentation from the Army Museum as a tribute to the long and storied history of the Army and the promise of a bright future as it opens its doors next month on Veterans Day, November 11th.
The National Museum of the U.S. Army showcases the history and traditions of the Army through the eyes of the American soldier. As a place to both commemorate and educate, the museum offers military visitors and the general public the opportunity to connect with the remarkable role American soldiers have played in shaping the history of our nation and the world. Highlighting the experiences of soldiers, both renowned and lesser known, the museum honors the accomplishments, commitment, and sacrifice of those who have served, and creates a rich tapestry of history, times of war, and peace. Each soldier's story adds a new thread to the fabric of the American story. The museum consists of three main galleries: Soldier Stories, Fighting for the Nation, and Army and Society, which are filled with hundreds of artifacts that illustrate the Army's significant role in building and defending our nation, as well as detailing Army humanitarian missions and the technological and medical breakthroughs built on Army ingenuity. Other key features of the museum are the Experiential Learning Center and Army Theater. The Experiential Learning Center offers an immersive learning space for visitors of all ages to develop skills and have fun with geography, science, technology, engineering, and math. The Army Theater provides an enthralling introduction to the United States Army. The featured film Of Noble Deeds explores Army values and what it truly means to be an American soldier. The theater's 300-degree screen and external sensory elements envelop the viewer in sight, sound, and movement. The Medal of Honor experience invites visitors to learn more about the nation's highest personal military decoration and explore the stories of soldiers who distinguish themselves through acts of valor. The adjoining Medal of Honor garden honors each of the Army's Medal of Honor recipients. The galleries and exhibits are designed to reflect Army values in action. The museum will also provide a backdrop of history for retirement, promotion, and reenlistment ceremonies. Held in the museum lobby, these ceremonies will invite visitors to connect with Army traditions. The museum also offers several indoor and outdoor spaces for private events. The Army and the American people have enjoyed a special connection since the early days of the country. Congress recognized the national importance of collecting and preserving significant artifacts of the U.S. Army in 1814 and passed legislation directing the Secretary of War to gather symbols of combat from the young nation's military struggles. More than 200 years later, the museum is the central location to share the history of the Army in its entirety and strengthen the bond between the American people and their oldest military service. At the National Museum of the United States Army, every soldier has a story to tell, and those stories are the stories of us.
AUSA is a proud sponsor of the National Museum of the United States Army. We offer our congratulations to the Army and to the Army Historical Foundation, led by General Sullivan and Lieutenant General retired Roger Schultz, for this monumental accomplishment. Folks, you're going to want to go to the Army Museum. It is spectacular. You'll find your story and many other stories at the National Museum of the United States Army. As we conclude this Eisenhower event, I encourage you to visit the military exhibits, presentations, and demonstrations, as well as the many industry exhibits that are in our virtual convention center. This is a great chance to exchange ideas and learn something new. Please be sure to attend the Contemporary Military Forums hosted by AUSA Education and Program. Consult the online agenda or use the AUSA app for locations and time. As I noted at the start, this is an excellent professional development opportunity, one like no other. Take advantage of your time here by attending these important sessions and take time between events to visit the many businesses in the virtual exhibit hall. Visit the AUSA Pavilion, take part in the games of the day, win prizes and bragging rights. Most importantly, expand your understanding and your support of America's Army. Thank you for joining us for the Dwight David Eisenhower Forum.